who attends the funeral as allies. What is the significance of that? Why is that ironic? Why did Fitzgerald choose him out of everyone that he knew to be the one who comes to the funeral?
Well, as we discussed throughout the story, that allies is presenting the word allies, and also presenting the eyes of God. I think that Fitzgerald put him as a person in the funeral to represent us, because he's like eyes. So we're reading the story, so it's like giving us the opportunity to be there in the funeral, like being like eyes to there and seeing like actually be there.
Everyone was quoting about this. He says that allies, he's a part of that. When he went to war, he got free, and people in the war, they would die, and they didn't have like friends there to go to a funeral. They would just be there, dead, and the only people that felt for them or were there were their allies. And then he also said that most of the war was like taking place like in the water, in the oceans, and their bodies would just be laying there, floating in the water. And then how he was floating in the pool, and he said that represented that.
We also said that an owl represents. He had the wisdom to understand why he ended up the way that he did. Good. Really good. Anything else to add to that one?
I was talking about how the title is reminiscent of the or what you would call in addition to the great being, and how that these magicians still like they just hold up the illusion of how they're great. And the persona of Jay Gatsby is the masterful illusion. And the belief to that.
Alright, so our question was, how does Fitzgerald combine the concept of the American dream with the idea of moral decay? What theme is he communicating through the juxtaposition of these ideas? And then finding specific examples in the book. So to answer the first one, Fitzgerald combines the idea of the American dream with the idea of moral decay by contradicting them, by showing how in this time everyone's idea of the American dream was just becoming rich and wealthy and having power, and they didn't really care about the morals, and like they didn't care about right and wrong. They just cared about getting to the top and being on top of everybody.
And the theme communicated for us on the juxtaposition of these ideas were that although that people wanted this power, pretty shady stuff was happening at the time, like drug abuse, violence, addiction, and while people were getting to the top, those ideas of moral decay were stayed at the bottom and eventually came back to haunt them. And specific examples were when they go to the Valley of the Ashes, you see like around them there's like this big lofty community, and right in the center is like the opposite, the moral decay that was left behind.
This is based on how society was.
It's based, it was back in the 20s, and it's based on Fitzgerald's perception of life during the 1920s. And this comes into play more, I think in your question, right, this idea of disillusionment and hope. A lot of people, like the idea of the American dream was becoming more prevalent, and more widespread, and people were kind of starting to like buy into this idea of the American dream. And from that rose authors such as Fitzgerald, Jack Kerouac, some of these other authors who were kind of questioning it and like poking holes in this idea of the American dream. And they were actually known as like writers from the genre of disillusionment. And so this particular novel is very it's very reflective of that movement and the modernist movement, that they were beginning to question ideas. And so how he paints them, that's how life was actually being lived. And then Nick is almost representative of Fitzgerald. Like the sentences in which he looks at the world and questions the society and questions those around him.
For a novel, what themes did he like portray besides the moral decay?
So right and wrong, the theme is we could be communicating that the ideas and beliefs of people have changed. That, like I said before, that they just want wealth and power. They don't care about who they have to drop or who they have to step over to get to the top. They just care about making themselves better and having a good life.
To add on to what Merle said, how the concept of American dream it correlates to the idea of moral decay. People who, I would say, the less wealthy people who are trying to achieve the American dream have like the moralistic value to achieve it, but those who are up there, they start losing it, which also kind of indicate that the American dream is not like unreachable, because people who have the power still want more because their morals are so like corrupt. They believe that they still need like more wealth, and they're still willing to do whatever it takes to get more. They just want more power.
Do you think that applies today?
I believe it's like in perception of different people, because some people are content with like say for example like with my parents, they like where we live right now, and they're happy, they're content with it, and they don't feel the need to go and do whatever it takes to get wealthier because they're happy and they're content. But then there's others who still I think like for similar success in their eyes, getting more money. What she used to support her argument in the speech, just really quickly. What did Sunny just use to support her argument? Personal anecdotes, okay? Again, think about the ways people are backing up their arguments. This is what you should be doing in your argumentative essay. Yes. Is there something wrong with wanting more?
So you take into consideration that currently we are in riots, whereas we are the 99 versus 1%. Can you elaborate on that? The 99 versus the 1%. You think it can tie in with what you just finished explaining about people who want more?
What's the 99% of the one?
Exactly, but that's because they are not at the current level that the 1% is, whereas the 1% have all the wealth that they want. What do you know? 99%.
What is the 99% and what is the 1%?
For those of you who are not
Explain.
informed, the 99% is the 1% is the wealthy people who pretty much own most of the money in the world, or at least in the United States, whereas the 99% are pretty much common people who do not own much. And right now we have the Occupy movements, which are the 99% who are battling against local corruption.
So maybe coming out of this, the question is, because you're asking, like, is it okay to have more? And you guys, I feel like we're kind of at a stalemate with this. So maybe the question is, when is it justifiable to want more? And what is appropriate to sacrifice in that pursuit? Okay?
We might all be well off, but there's people living on the streets, so that 1%,